Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Destroy your fears and win. One word, micro goals. Okay, the music is going to go down now. Okay, so one thing that I realized about people, now this comes from years and years of studying NLP, hypnosis. It's more than that. It's the healing work I've done myself, energy healing, and the 12 years of meditation showed me something. You are what you believe you are. Period. Now, here's the question. Where is the what you believe? It's inside your emotions, inside your feelings, and that's your unconscious processor. That's the powerhouse of who you are. Your conscious brain, your ego, it's not even a thimble. Underneath the water is a massive, massive amounts of power, intelligence, everything. So everything you do is not done logically or consciously. No, everything you do is unconscious. So, okay, for example, there's 4 levels of competence. There's unconscious competence. There's unconscious incompetence, which means you can't do it. And then there's conscious incompetence, which means you realize consciously, oh shit, I can't do this. And then there's conscious competence, which means I can do it, but I got to really pay attention to every single step of the way. And then the next level, the 4th level up, is unconscious competence, where you just do it. Okay, so for example, I grew up in the generation where we had stick shifts, 5 speeds, 4 speeds, whatever, in a car. So I guess you would call that a manual. Okay, I always call it stick shift, but so nowadays most cars are automatic.
Really should have got the smoke.
So here's the way it works. Let's just take, driving a stick shift. So when you're a kid, you don't even know what a stick shift is. You don't know what a manual transmission is. You just, your parents get you in the car and they drive you wherever, okay? But then one day somebody points out and says, hey man, this is a stick shift. And you're like, oh, okay. And they say, hey, why don't you try to drive it? So what happens is, before that though, you are unconscious that you're incompetent. You don't know that you can't do it, or you don't know that you don't know, right? But then someone puts you in the driver's seat, says, hey, go ahead and drive it. And they're like, put the clutch in, you got to press the gas, let the clutch out slowly, you rev the gas a little more, and you got to have the stick shift in first gear, and then you got to watch the road. You're like, oh my God. So you grind the gears, and you begin to realize, like, consciously, that you're incompetent. So you realize that you don't know how to do it. So the first level is you don't know that you don't know. The next level is you begin to become conscious of, oh, I know I can't drive a stick shift. So then they start to give you lessons, and you're like, okay, put the clutch all the way in. Oh, put it in gear, okay. And you're looking down. You're not even looking at the road. And then you're like, okay, now you got to rev the gas, and you're looking at the right pedal, and you got to lift off the left pedal, the clutch, and then you got to watch the road for the car. And now you're paying attention, very conscious of every step you're doing. That's called conscious competence. So you can do it, but you have to pay attention to every little road, and you can't have a conversation with someone, or they'll distract you, and you won't be able to do it. Okay, so then you do that for a month, let's say, maybe 2 months, or maybe even 3 months, and eventually you just get in the car, put in the clutch, start the engine, boom, and you just put it in first gear and you go. You don't even think about it. You just drive. That's called unconscious competence. This is when your unconscious mind takes over and drives. You essentially go, okay, I want to go to Sally's house. And your unconscious mind goes, okay. Now here's the deal. Your unconscious mind is your power. It is your source. It just goes by command. Whatever you direct it to do, it goes, okay. If you're like, oh man, I suck, it goes, Okay, well, you suck at this sport, or you suck at driving, or you suck at relationships. Okay. And then haven't you ever said, just like, oh, why do I always say the wrong thing at the wrong time? It's because you told your unconscious mind that you suck at this. It is so important to tell yourself that you're good at something, or that you're smart, or that you're competent, or I'm the master of this. I'm the best, or man, I love doing this. I'm so good at this. I'm in the zone. Okay, I've got a really good way to do this. Okay, I'm just going to read off something I wrote from my own notes. Be the genius that you are. Destroy everyone. Omnipower. Get what you want out of life. Get over your heartbreak and dominate in life. So these are notes I wrote for myself, and I'm thinking of changing my website, the homepage, etc. So then it says, psychological conditioning makes you powerful. How to get what you want out of life. That's what I do for a living. Whether it's dating, relationships, business, sports, anything. Now let's go back about 2 minutes ago when I said because of meditation and what I've learned in NLP, like I started to see something. Whatever you believe is what you are. Because your unconscious mind goes, oh, okay. I am telling you, your unconscious mind is your obedient servant. Whatever images you show it, it will create. This is why it's really good to develop the ability to get really good at shifting into better emotional states. Because when you're in a better mood, you send your unconscious mind better images. And yes, there are actual techniques that I teach people to show you how to get into a better mood. Alright, so here's the deal. There's someone that I've known for a long, long time. And the person, man, how do I say this? It's kind of sad, but we're going to turn it around. He's a great guy. I kind of grew up with him in school. We definitely were on the same football team and wrestling team together. He's a really good person. Now here's the thing. He believes that he's stupid. But here's kind of the weird thing, is I've gotten to know him and his father over the years. His father has passed away a while back. And his father said some of the smartest things I've ever heard in my life. I mean, just a really wise guy. But they both, now listen closely, they look slow. They sound slow. Mentally. Now here's the deal though. Their father was actually making more money than most of the parents in the high school I went to. Now, I went to a really nice high school with a fairly wealthy, definitely upper middle class neighborhood. And these parents made more money than most of those parents. Now, you could say, well, they're just very humble. No, they genuinely think they're stupid. Now, here's the thing. Now, listen closely. They believe that. Now, watch this closely. I'm going to say it in both ways because it applies. But they're not. But because they believe it, they are. Are you following me right now? They're not actually stupid. They think they're stupid, and therefore it's almost like a role that they play. And they say stupid things, or they make this stupid mistake. Because they believe that they're stupid, their unconscious mind goes, oh, okay, well, that's the right answer, but I'm dumb, so here's the wrong answer. This is how your mind works. This is how your system works. Again, it acts as a filter. So let's say you're in a relationship with someone, you're dating someone, you really, really like them. Your filter, if you believe you're not worthy or not good enough for them, your filter, that belief, will look for reasons to prove to you, yep, you're right, we're not good enough for them. It could literally be that person telling you, no, you are good enough for me. You are worth it to me. And your filter like, well, they're just saying that because I'm not. You have to be careful of what your beliefs are. So here's the deal. Your belief will make your... Let's say you believe you're stupid. Well, stupid people don't look like that. That's what smart people look like. So I've got to have kind of a frown and kind of a dumb look on my face. And I'm telling you, I've taken people... Okay, Abenev was one of them. When I first met Abenev, he didn't have self-esteem. He didn't get good grades. didn't do well in school. It was just he was someone who thought he wasn't good enough. He was kind of depressed. He didn't think he was smart or talented. Here's the thing about Abhinav, though. He was, but he didn't believe it. So after working with the guy over a period of time, he started to dress different. He started to walk different. He started to hold himself different. He started having better answers. He started saying better things. When I first met him, he would say the stupidest thing. I'm like, why would you say that? All right, let me just say this real quick. I want to end this section right here. Haven't you ever time when you said the dumbest thing at the wrong moment? It's because you thought you were dumb, or you thought, well, I always say the wrong thing. If you have beliefs like that, that'll come out. So after working with Benna for a while, he changed everything. His confidence went through the roof. He got a better job, and then he got a better job than that. He's dressing sharp. He's looking sharp. He's letting his hair grow out. Everything about him, he started to get his own style. He started to have his own independence, which he didn't have when I first met him. All right, here's what you guys got to understand. I had him reading books on NLP and psychology. I was teaching this kid's advanced psychology techniques and communication linguistics when he was probably about 21, 22, 23 years old. This is a guy that was uneducated, barely passed high school, and he's learning stuff that people that have their doctorate degrees learn. Everyone, okay, we were in San Francisco. We went to a club one night, Saturday night, and we were standing outside talking to a couple of the bouncers, and these guys pull up. And they're talking to me, hey, what's going on? And blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, this is the bouncer, so-and-so, so-and-so. And they looked at next to me, and they're like, Benev? Is that you? And he's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Blah, blah. Hey, Mike, these are my friends from high school, blah, blah. I'm like, what's going on with you, man? And they were really genuinely shocked. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And so eventually they went in. I go, dude, remember when I first met you? That's who they see you as. He's like, oh, yeah, that's right. He changed. Now, let me tell you another secret. So a lot of you, if you're empaths or light workers or even heart-based people, here's the deal. We absorb information. So let's say I want to change my mood, or I want to get more of a business mind, or, whatever. All I have to do is, one of my favorites was Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. I would just sit down and read that book for about 30 minutes, and boom, my whole mentality would change. Now, here's the deal. I used to not run around, but I would talk to people like, God, why do you always get so good at stuff so fast? So someone who's been training in sport for 7 years, I'd walk in and literally in 6 months, I'd be kicking their ass. And I would just tell people, like, I don't know, I just absorb information like a sponge. Like literally the information went into my body, into my muscles. I would literally open up and absorb. So every day I'm listening to these top coaches, watching them, hearing them, training with them. I'm absorbing. I do the same thing when I read. When I read, I'm not reading, I'm feeling. I'm feeling the energy, the words in my body, the emotions. And then boom, instantaneously, I can do it. So a lot of you guys on this channel, you came here because of narcissist abuse, because of all the videos I did in the past. You are an empath on some level. You absorb information. All you need to do is, you want to get rich, go and read Think and Grow Rich. Read that book twice a year. Another book you can read, I read about pretty much whenever I need money, like I'm desperate, I read that book, boom. I get a client, boom, I make book sales. I mean, it is the weirdest thing in the world. All I do is read the book. I don't even post on social media. And all of a sudden, I'll start making book sales. My phone starts ringing. And that book is The Magic of Believing by Claude M. Bristol. Think and Grow Rich does the same thing for me, but it's kind of an overly logical, intellectual book. So for business people who are really logical, they might like that. But here's the deal. They may not absorb the information. Now, when I read the book, money does come in. I just don't enjoy reading as much as I do The Magic of Believing by Claude M. Bristol. Bristol. The first time I noticed this ability that I had was I was reading a book on, it was on ESP, and I still have it. It's in the other room. I don't want to get up. I'm actually comfortable right now. But it's something about ESP and spiritual stuff. I forget what it was. As I'm reading this book, I got through the first chapter or two, and I started noticing I was kind of picking up on information from people, and I'd spit it out at them like, how'd you know I was thinking that? And I would just tell them things about themselves like, How did you know that? Like, I would just meet the person like 30 minutes before. Or I'd get a sense that someone's going to walk in the door. And I'd say, hey, so-and-so's going to be here in a minute. Like, how do you know? They haven't been here for like a week. I'm like, no, they're going to walk in the door any second. Boom, they'd walk in the door. So a couple of days would go by, maybe a week, and it went away. And then I'd read the book again, and that stuff came back. And I was like, well, what is this? I started realizing whatever I was tuning into, reading, videos I was paying attention to, I took on that energy and I became whatever that was. I believe a lot of you on this channel have that same ability. I would highly recommend buying Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. And as you read the book over the next week or 2 weeks or however long it takes you, notice what happens, what shifts in your life. And then read The Magic of Believing by Claudine Bristol or Think and Grow Rich and really begin to know. For me, I don't know what it is, money comes in. I mean, one time I got a check in the mail from some lady who apparently babysat my dad, but my dad had died back in 1999. I think this was like 2012 or something like that. I got a check in the mail for like $2,600 or something like that. And I was like, what is this? And there was a note saying, oh, my name is a lawyer, so-and-so, such and such died. She used to babysit your father, and she put this money aside for you and your brothers and sisters. Well, we each got a check. So some person who died, who I've never met, who used to babysit my dad before I was ever born, before he ever met my mother, sends me a check. And it was just the weirdest thing in the world. I truly believe, because I was reading that book for about 3 or 4 or 5 days straight, I really believe it rearranged something in the universe to make that happen. What I'm trying to get you to understand, I believe a lot of you have this ability, that if you just go into a certain field and focus on it, it starts to happen. Whether you're reading books on manifesting, reading books on making money, whatever it is, it's going to start falling. It's like it falls into your life. This is just one of the tools that you can use to shift your reality. Now, one of the reasons why this happens, especially when your emotional state changes, is because the words that people use give off energy. They give off emotions. What do you mean? Words release chemicals into your body. Okay, so here's what I like to tell people. Okay, I'm going to ask you a quick question. How do you remember words? If someone says a word, how do you remember what it means? Like how? Is there like a computer disk inside your brain? Is there a hard drive? Is there a memory card that's made of plastic and copper and silver or whatever that runs it? Do you have like gold, metal, or some kind of like silver or whatever it is, like where electricity runs through it and grabs the memories? Like, how do you know what a word means? Like house, car, tree, door, glass. How do you know what that means? But you just like that, you knew exactly what I was saying. Instantaneously. How? Words are biochemically encoded. Each word that you know has a different chemical combination. That's the code. Please make a note in the comment section that you got this far and you actually heard what I just said right there. That is so important. Type in words are biochemically encoded. All right, here we go. So here's the deal. I used to have anxiety like you would not believe. I mean, I literally at nighttime I would lose 3 pounds in sweat. I am not kidding. I don't mean on bad days. I mean, this was kind of a regular occurrence for me since I was a little child. I had gone to acupuncture and it helped for a couple of days, but then it would come back and then I'd go back, and I used to go I went 3 times a week for so many weeks and then 2 times a week, and then, this went on for like probably 9 weeks or longer. It helped, but it didn't really help. It did help, but it was kind of like a step, we'll call it. And I went to a lot of energy healing and that helped. But then there was one night when it came back and I'm just curled up and clenched up and sweating, and I used to have to lay down two layers of towels so it wouldn't absorb into the mattress. Okay. Now, one night I was so desperate, I remember about that. I think it was a Japanese scientist who wrote the words on a piece of paper and then taped it to glass. And you fill each of these glasses with water. One was like happy, another one was sad, another one was depression, and the other one was hate. Or something. I remember the hate one. I remember the love. I remember the happiness, and I can't remember what the third one, but it was depression or something like that. And what happened was, after, I don't know if it was a day or two or 72 hours, he would take a drop of that and put it on a sliding glass microscope thing, and he put it under the microscope, and the happy one looked like a beautiful snowflake. I'm sure you've seen these images. It's really, really kind of was a big deal for a while. And then another one, I think it was joy, and that one had beautiful crystal clear crystallizations like snowflake. You know, it looked beautiful, different, and it was a different shape than the happy. And then when you got the one that was sad, it didn't look very good. It was kind of disgusting. It looked discolored, and it was kind of like rusting out, and didn't look good. And then when you got the one that said hate, man, that one was corrosion. It was ugly. The pattern was messed up, because the other ones had like perfect repeating patterns. This one, everything was kind of broken and moved around, and it just was ugly. Now, I remember learning this in NLP, and they showed us the pictures and the images up on the slide or whatever, however they showed us back then. And I thought that was really impressive, and I believed it. I didn't know it, though. But I absolutely believed that was true. I mean, this is a scientist. He did a study. He recorded it, and he put it in a scientific journal, etc. So I believed it, but there's a difference between believing and knowing. So here we are, 6, 7, 8 years later. I'm about 28, 29 years old, something like that. I don't remember how old it was. And I'm in bed sweating again. It's just like, God, why can't I get rid of this? And I can't sleep, and I'm just, kind of rocking, and just like, it was horrible. And I just said, what is one tool from NLP that I can learn that I can do? And I couldn't think of anything, any reframing or something. I don't know. And I thought, what's something that is so simple that you can do even right now in stress? And that study that scientists did came back to me. I thought, well, what do you got to lose, man? Because at first I said, it can't be that easy. Well, what do you got to lose? So here's what I came up with. So I'm in a bad state. So where do I want to be? I wanted to be able to go to sleep. So I thought, well, I need to get out of this fear, anxiety state. So I thought, well, love and peace are much better feeling for me. So I want to feel those states. So as I'm curled up on my side, kind of rocking back and forth, I said, love, peace, love. And I was kind of stressed the way I was saying it too. And I thought, oh, you can't really say it that way. You got to say it the way it is. And because that's what you learn in NLP. I was like, I can't get out of the state. So I thought, I'm just going to repeat those words over and over and over. I go, either it's going to help or it's not. And I said, love, peace, over and over and over. I'm assuming for 7 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes. I don't remember how long. But I was like, I'm not going to give up. Next thing you know, I woke up the most rested I'd ever been in my entire life since the day I was born. And when I say the most, I mean I had never slept this well in my entire life. Like, nothing did this. Nothing. It might have been 20 minutes of saying love and peace over and over, but however long it was, whatever. All I know is, man, and the funny thing was, like, I don't remember falling. It was like, boom, I was out like a light. And I thought, nah, that was just a coincidence. So a couple nights, and by the way, that day was wonderful. I felt so relaxed. So a couple nights later, it came back. I'm like, oh man, like, why? And and it didn't come back to me to do the love and peace thing until after about an hour of tossing and turning. And I thought, oh, just give it a try. Maybe it did work. And so I did it again. Love, peace, over and over and over and over. And next thing you know, I'm waking up the next morning fully rested. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. That's when it dawned on me. This is what did it. So sure enough, a couple nights later, came back. I'm like, well, I got my tool. I know what to do now. And I did it. And boom, I'm waking up the next morning fully rested, full 8 hours of sleep. I'm like, man, this feels great. What technique did you do, Mike? I didn't. Well, what medicine did you take? I didn't. Well, what sleeping agent did you take? I didn't. I remembered that study talking about how words affect our emotions. and they affect the crystallization of the water, etc., etc. I'm like, and I remember, like, I don't. It might have been in this study that is where that I learned this from, actually, and I'm forgetting where I learned it. But words are biochemically encoded. Well, what does that mean? It means every time you say a word, that series of chemicals, let's say this word has 5 chemicals, it releases those chemicals into your bloodstream, and you feel those words. So if you say a word or two over and over and over and over and over, you're going to start going into that emotional state. Because what you're doing is you're releasing those chemicals into your bloodstream, which goes into your muscles and your mind and your body, and you start to take on those feelings and emotions. It's essentially dumping the right chemicals into your system. One of the reasons why I use the word clarity a lot is because I know when people have clarity, they can feel much better in life and they can do much better in life. And it also gives me clarity. Now, another thing that I learned that gives people clarity, okay, see what I'm doing? I'm purposely just finding reasons to throw that word out there. The more I throw it out there, the more clarity you have. I also began to realize the tone, the way I speak and communicate, can also create emotions. You know, the way I use the words and talk and speak it creates. See what I'm saying? That you didn't like the way that felt, did you? So here's what I do in my videos. I am communicating in a way where it's nice and flowing and clarity and open, and I'm constantly breathing, so it unconsciously gets you to breathe as well. So the overall thing is this: you do create your emotions and feelings without realizing it. So when you start training with someone like me, we're going to teach you how to create your emotions, your feelings, so you can begin to pick and choose the emotional states you want to go into that are appropriate for whatever it is you're doing. And a lot of times, not a lot of time, probably almost all the times, when you're in a bad mood, it's because you have a really bad habit. And here, it's an unconscious habit that takes you into the wrong state that you don't want to be in. So another thing that I'm trained in is looking for these patterns. Okay, everything is a pattern or a strategy. When I find the patterns, I'm like, oh, there it is, and I'll do what's called a pattern interrupt on purpose to break that pattern over a period of time, and then we will reconnect and condition into you a better pattern that you want, or a better state of mind, an emotion, a behavior. So I'm just trying to give you some idea of things that we use in NLP, hypnosis, and the way that we shift people into better states and emotional states of mind and heart and body. So let me ask you a question. So throughout most of this video, because I kind of came out of it a little bit, but throughout most of my videos, do you notice that you end up feeling a lot better, like life is more peaceful, or you feel more energized, or depending on what state I'm creating? You can not only learn how to do this for yourself, but for the people that are around you too. Okay, that's it guys for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something from it and it'll have an impact on your life. Alright, please help out this channel. You can click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment. And as always, there's a PayPal link in the description box. You can go ahead and make a donation as much as you want, as much as you like. And another way you can support this channel is go ahead and buy one of my men's or women's dating and relationship coaching books. And then after that, hire me for coaching. I do energy healing. By the way, if you haven't heard any of those videos of my clients, I'm a phenomenal energy healer. Really, really exceptionally good at that. Specialize in emotional healing. That is my core heart-based specialty that I do and why I got into this business. And the other thing that I made a new discovery in communication between men and women. So I specialize in communication, romance, love, and sensual talk. We'll call it that. The real word is sensual seduction. To teach men how to communicate in a way that she can connect with on a deeper, more emotionally fulfilling and meaningful way. For women, buy my book, Why Men Just Don't Get It. And then the other book, the follow-up book, Every Woman's Battle, The Need for Love and Emotional Fulfillment. It's going to blow your mind. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.